Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 9.0, and today is day 24. So today we're going to dive further into our opportunities-based training, and we're going to start looking at our Documents tab and talk about the compliance process through KW Command. So let's dive in. Sixth icon, down, our handshake icon takes us into our Opportunities view. We've got our 3 pipelines, our 5 phases. If you'll remember yesterday, we created an opportunity within our cultivate phase in the less than 30 days stage. So one quick thing to note, this is your opportunity card. To move this opportunity card from stage to stage, I'm going to click and hold my mouse down, and then I'm going to drag that opportunity card, and you can see that I can click and drag to the left, I can click and drag to the right. I'm still within our cultivate phase. However, if I wanted to move to a new phase, I would just click and then drag the card. And if you'll notice, oops, it did it anyway. What happened very quickly there was the icon was a closed fist, and once I moved it to active, it turned to a pointer. You can see when I move it to the active phase, it moves it to the first stage in that phase. Just to show you kind of quickly, I'm going to move it back to appointment in this case. So I'm going to click it. It's going to grab the card, and if you notice, the icon changes to a closed fist. And then when I drag it up here at the top, it's going to turn to a pointer, right? So that shows me, and you can also see in the background, the phase is lit up in blue. That shows me that I've got the card in the right place to let go of my mouse, and it's now been moved to that new phase. Now, when you move from right to left, one phase to the next, it moves your card into the furthest right-hand stage. So we're going to go ahead and move this one to active now, drop it back there. Let's say it's now active, and we need to start doing some paperwork, right? Paperwork can certainly be done at any stage. You could probably be doing a buyer's representation agreement with a buyer in the cultivate stage. But in this case, we're just going to demo how to start doing paperwork in our active phase in our staging stage. So we're going to open up the opportunity. And we showed you this briefly yesterday. When you do, you get your multiple tabs across here at the top. We're going to start off with our Documents tab. So once we're inside of the Documents tab, several things happen. So first off, you can see on the left-hand side, we've got a status indicator. And this is a drop-down, right? Now, I can't actually change the status. This is more a status of when I go to submit this file, how that file is being handled by the people running my compliance department. So if I need to do paperwork, the first thing I want to do is pick a checklist type. And in my market center, you can see we have several different checklist types. These types will differ based upon your specific market center. But in our market center, you can see the ones that are listed. I'm just going to choose a standard residential listing checklist type. Once I've chosen a checklist type, you'll see multiple folders will show up below that. So I've got a listed folder, an under contract folder, a closed folder, and then also the ability to create custom folders where I can store documents that might not make sense to put on any one of the checklists. In this center screen, you can see just that, our checklist of documents that we need to begin filling the placeholders for. Inside this list, you can see that you've got a status column, whether or not you've uploaded a document to that placeholder. You've got a requirement column, and that's going to show you whether or not this document is required by your compliance team, is conditionally required by your compliance team, or there is typically an optional. So you can see here it's an optional requirement indicator. Your compliance team can also add kind of these little tool tips, if you will, that will explain why it might be required, why it might be conditional. Again, each market center is going to be a little bit different in how they do that, but if you see this eye icon, it does mean that there's some additional information for you to review from your compliance team. The center column is the name of the actual document. Fourth column over is the type of document. Is it an agreement? Is it a disclosure? Is it an authorization, etc.? And then the far right-hand column is actually the column that indicates the file itself, so whether or not you've actually loaded a file or not. These checklists will change based upon what folder you're in. So right now I'm in my listed folder, and these are the documents that are either required, conditional, or optional. you can see if I move to under contract, I've got a new checklist, and there are now new documents that are either required or conditional based upon it being a residential listing checklist in the under contract folder. To load documents to any of these placeholders, you've got a couple of different options, right? So the first thing is I can connect this opportunity to my DocuSign account. Highly recommend this. I'm a big fan of DocuSign. It is privately held, not owned by any third-party real estate company like some of its competitors might be. So if we choose to start a transaction, that's going to allow us to make the connection to DocuSign. Now, in this Pro Coach account, we don't actually have DocuSign connected, so we won't go down that bunny trail, if you will. But if you do have DocuSign connected, you can actually click on this drop down and you'll see My Computer, and then you'll also have DocuSign, and you can actually choose the room to view the documents you want to pull into these placeholders. In this case, we're going to do it just manually. I would click on Browse. I would get a pop-up that comes up, and then I can search for documents that I can then choose to load into that actual placeholder. So if we were looking at comparative market analysis, that's the requirement. I could go into my File Explorer and find a specific comparative market analysis that needed to be loaded. So here's an example. I'll just load in this CMA, and now you can see a couple of things have happened. This file is now placed inside of this placeholder. And if you noticed earlier, my Submit to MC button was grayed out. Now that I've uploaded at least one file, I can now choose to submit this to my Market Center. Now, I think most compliance coordinators would agree that they're going to want all of, at minimum, your required placeholders filled in before you submit, and then obviously any of the conditional placeholders also filled out. But just for display purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click on Submit to MC. And if you look over here on the left-hand side, you can see my status is empty. When I click to Submit MC, it's going to say, are you sure? Hey, make sure you've got them all attached and they're all accurate to make sure that you don't have any delays. I'm going to go ahead and click on Submit. And now you can see my listed folder has changed its status to Submitted. Okay, so that means that I have gone in, I have uploaded documents, I have submitted it. You can see I can't resubmit. I'm now waiting for my compliance team to review this file and then either approve, return, reject, etc. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. But that's essentially your Documents tab, whether you're uploading those documents from your connected DocuSign room or manually from your computer. You can see how you are going to go into the Documents tab. Make sure you first choose a checklist type, and then I would recommend making that connection from Command to DocuSign. Typically makes it a little bit easier, or then begin uploading manually each one of your documents to your placeholders. Once you've got all of those done, then you can click on Submit, and your compliance team would review that opportunity. That's it for today, guys. Check back tomorrow when we're going to review a little bit more about the Documents tab and then move into offers and commissions. As always, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'll look forward to speaking with you again real soon.